Welcome to the Futures in Digital Learning podcast. This is our year-end review podcast. I'm Adam Davi, Instructional Design Manager with UCAT, here once again with my wonderful co-host, Brian.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, how you doing today, Brian?
Hanging in there. It's
Yeah.
the holiday season.
It is the holiday season.
And you know what that means? All the instructors cramming their last-minute changes into their courses before I go on vacation.
I thought you were going to say holiday cookies, but that too. Okay.
That too, yeah. That's what gets me through all this.
Right. Excellent. Well, we are joined today by two of our wonderful colleagues, Melody Buckner and Matt Romanoski, who have been frequent guests of the podcast. We tend to have them on for these year-end episodes, and we're delighted to have them back again. So welcome, Melody and Matt.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
And we are going to chat today about what's been happening in the world of instructional design and online learning over the course of 2025. And what a roller coaster this has been, huh?
Yes, it has been.
So first thing, what do you think has been the biggest storyline in the world of online learning over the course of the last year? Don't say AI. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say the first thing that popped into my head was AI, but I hate to always focus on artificial intelligence. But it is making a big impact about how we work, how we learn, and actually how we communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to give us an answer that's not AI, one of the things that we've done a lot of work with in our office this year is the RSI, regular and substantive interactions, and engaging with students and trying to get instructors to put more of that into their courses. So it's been a big push for us.
That is a good one. That's something that I've heard a lot of folks talking about as well, is the RSI and what that means. And it's, a little bit cloudy in some areas, right? But what are some things that you have seen that along that front that has been kind of helpful and guiding for instructors to do?
Here at the university, one of the things that's been real helpful for that, aside from our awesome multimedia team that builds out videos, but using the tools that we're able to leverage. Feedback Fruits has been a game changer for us in producing engaging content and getting students engaged. So that's one of the things that we're using pretty extensively. But we also just brought on ThingLink as a enterprise technology. And so I'm really looking forward to how we'll use that along with 360 video. We've got a new multimedia specialist who's really targeting that area. So I think there's going to be some exciting stuff for that looking forward to 2026. So.
We also, in bringing on Feedback Fruits, we sunset VoiceThread.
Yeah.
And VoiceThread has been with us for almost 10 years. So the sunsetting of a technology caused a lot of disruption because faculty have invested into that technology. And anytime you have a technology that you're replacing with another one, you're going to have some disruption. So I think we took a whole year to move faculty off of VoiceThread and into Feedback Fruits. We think that Feedback Fruits is a better experience for students. We had a lot of faculty that really liked VoiceThread, including me. I love VoiceThread. We were kind of dismayed that they didn't really keep up with the accessibility.
Yeah.
And we also heard a lot of complaints from students.
Yeah.
So now moving into Feedback Fruits, hopefully some of that will be resolved. But I have to admit, I kind of miss a technology that I used for a lot of years, but I'm moving into new technologies. And I think that, if we're not changing and we're not evolving, then we're actually dying.
Yeah. And
so we always need to, keep that lens or that perspective that we need to keep on exploring new things, using the older things, but making sure that they're coming around and keeping up with what's going on in the classroom.
And I think that's a great kind of analogy there, right? If you're not evolving, you're slowly dying, right?
Yes.
And that's in education that happens quickly.
Yes, it does.
in some instances. But I think it's good to also know for students as well, because we're trying to prepare them to come and be productive members of society in whatever field they're going into, and we need to give them these skills and show them these tools that they can use. And while they might not be using feedback fruits or VoiceThread in their careers, the skills that they gain from being exposed to those tools, I think, is valuable. So
it is.
Being able to evolve and use some of those is really cool. And we recently had a little feedback fruits demo on campus here, and saw some of the cool ways that faculty are using it. We're trying to recruit some of those faculty to be on the podcast in 2026 and talk about it. So
you should.
That was a good good little plug for us. So thanks, Melody.
Sure.
Yeah. So, well, let's, go back to some of that. So we talked about RSI and the new tools, and, we can touch on AI, because I think we would be remiss if we didn't bring up AI and the impact that it has had on, not just online education, but in education in general. So what are some ways that you all are using AI in what you do in your roles within online learning?
So I have to commend Adam and Kathy, who helped create the TLS 253 class, which was Introduction to Teaching Online by Design. And as you know, I taught that this fall. Mm-hmm. And I used AI to help me give feedback to students.
Okay.
It was so amazing because AI was teaching me things. I was like, I didn't think about giving feedback in that way. And I did not add any student work into the AI engine, but I added in the assignment. Mm-hmm. And I said, how can I scaffold these things? And then after I reviewed all of the projects that were turned in, I put some themes in there that I saw that people needed to have some help with. And AI came up with the most incredible feedback. And I was like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you guys, when we constructed that course, we had rubrics. So, of course, the projects are being graded off of the rubric. And so I'm giving them a letter grade or a number grade based on the rubric. But then what I did is I clipped that part of what AI was giving and I pasted it into the feedback. And then I put their names on it. And then I put one personal sentence comment. And then they had like a 3-paragraph feedback upon their project based upon the assignment and what was coming next. I got the most incredible faculty evaluations. They were like, I have never had a faculty give me this kind of feedback. I had 4 of I think I had 30 students. I had 4 of them personally email me and say, this is incredible. And the thing that was like the silver bullet, because this is a general education class and a lot of different types of disciplines take this, I had 2 students in those emails say, this class taught me how I learn.
Wow.
And cool. I was like, wow. So, and I don't know if it was from the feedback, because that's how I used AI in this class this semester. But I think that class, that content, getting students to think about the learning process and actually create learning activities and events, it showed them, oh, I never thought of learning as a science. Yeah. And all of a sudden they see learning as a science. So kudos to you and Kathy for that curriculum because it was really, really great. And it's always full. Yeah. We're even thinking about offering it every fall and spring because it fills up. It's one of those building connection general education classes, and they don't have enough of those. Okay. So that's how
that's wonderful.
I got very excited about how I was using AI to enhance that class.
Very cool.
Yeah. Cool. So now I want to know, did you upload or train AI to use your voice, your speech patterns, your writing patterns to deliver that feedback? Or did you kind of say, here's the rubric, take the rubric, analyze what they've done, and generate feedback?
I didn't even go that far. I just put in the assignment and I said, and here are some things that I'm noticing. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that you bring up voice. No, it didn't write in my voice, although it is learning my voice because I have a paid version. And so it's learning how I talk. However, I went in and I changed it to be my voice. Okay. So even though I got this really great content, it was just like 3 paragraphs, per assignment. I went in and I changed it to be more of my voice. And then that's when I added a sentence, saying, I really liked what you did. And then I would put, specifically what they were writing on, so that they saw their name. They saw that I made a personal comment, and then it was in my voice, but I did change it a little bit. But that's a great idea.
Well, no, but that's good that you went in and changed it, because they know when it's not you writing something,
And I know when it's them not writing something.
It works both ways.
Yeah. That's great, because I remember getting feedback. You get something that you've turned in and you spent a lot of time on, and B+ on the top of it with a little cert. Well, that doesn't tell me anything.
Right.
Give me something so I can synthesize that. Yes, I did it correctly, except for these little areas that I need to improve on. So that's a wonderful way to use AI. I love that.
And I also scaffold for the next assignment. So if they read the feedback, then they were getting some ideas of how they could do it better for the next one. Because in that course, they kind of scaffold to correct things that maybe they didn't do as well.
Right.
So,
nice.
Yeah. It was actually, it really made a change for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was pivotal for me.
Yeah.
I unfortunately haven't taught this year, so I haven't really been able to.
But you're on the
it.
instructional design side of things. So what are you seeing from an instructional design standpoint with AI?
What I've seen a lot of people use is writing objectives.
Okay.
Taking content, putting it in, and just pull out the main pieces that based on this should be the objectives of students learn. So I've seen a lot of that, a lot of helping with alignment.
Yeah.
As someone, I was recently listening to one of our team members. I can't remember how they were using it with the discussions, but I think it was Emily Torres, but she was using, there was something she was doing with discussions that sounded really cool. And I wish that I could remember what it was.
Okay, we'll get her on the pod next.
Yeah, I think she was the one who was using it. But those are the main things I'm seeing. It's interesting, not in our area, but my wife is an instructional coach in local school district, and she's seen where people are using it to quickly analyze exit tickets to figure out what they need to reteach later. So instead of spending a ton of time reading the answers on all of them, it feeds it through and says identify the gaps based on this is what should be in there, and then they can go right to making that lesson into it. So that's one of the things I've seen some local teachers doing. So.
Yeah, that analysis and iteration are two things that I think AI can really help us with. And I know that I learn from AI when I do those for those two processes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll just say, I'm kind of learning a little bit from my students what their perspective is with AI, and some are, they don't want to use it, and that's their choice. That's fine. And some, are very much using it, or are afraid that if they don't, they're going to be obsolete, and they're, working towards a college degree for nothing. And so they're, it's this weird kind of dynamic where they are not sure what they should share about their use of AI. And it's a lot of it being done in secret, where I was just like, no, tell me everything you're doing. Show me what you're doing. Show me how you're doing this. Why did you choose to do that? Why? And you see this kind of relief when they're like, oh, okay, I can bring this out in the open and show and do this. And that they really are just using it as a tool. A lot of what we see is them using it as a guide, and they're talking about classes where they get to use it. And they're like, I never thought that I could use it to analyze, this movie critique, and then, help it, have it help me write my own. Right. And, these different ways where they're just, we assume that they're kind of using it all the time in all these different ways, and they're learning just like we're learning.
Exactly.
And to be able to learn from them and with them, I think is a really cool thing.
My son, what would have taken me a couple of days to figure out as far as a workout plan.
Yeah.
Went to our local gym, wrote down all of the available, the weights, the pulls, all the machines available, and then said, this is what I'm trying to improve for my speed, my vertical, this and that. This is the equipment I have available to me. Write out a 5-day workout plan. And I mean, just fed all this stuff in there and pulled this thing. I took it to a strength coach that's a friend of mine. I was like, is this legit? And he's like, that's legit. And so his son just pulled that together. And I was like, I didn't even know he had ChatGPT on his phone.
Right.
Probably shouldn't admit that, but yeah.
Another thing that I think young people are bringing to my attention is the environmental impact of artificial intelligence. And of course, we have one of these data centers wanting to be built in Tucson right now, and Marana is kind of fighting it. And so they're not only thinking about how they're using it, but how to sustain it and how it's going to impact the environment. And I think that's fascinating that this group of young people is actually being that thoughtful when it comes to advanced technologies.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have one of our ID manager's daughters very passionate about that.
And it's good for them, we should be listening to the students more in a lot of these ways. And I think that's something that maybe we don't do enough of, especially in, our online world where it's, asynchronous and we don't have that face-to-face contact all the time, but we can build in some ways to kind of get their voices and hear what they're thinking.
Did you see this morning came out, Purdue is making AI woven into all curriculum across campus?
Wow. I've seen a couple schools do that. I think Ohio State did that too.
Yes. And so it's not just a course that you take on AI. They actually have said to all of the deans and department heads, you need to weave AI into your curriculum. The ethics of it, how to use it in your certain discipline. And that just came out this morning that the provost of Purdue, is talking to campus. And I think that's a better approach than just saying, okay, let's have a course in AI. Right. Although I do think that our Gen Ed, our 101, University 101 and 301 would be a good place to do a foundation module where we would have language about what AI means, because there's so many different types of AI. And how we define it here at the University of Arizona for your experience. I think that would be a good foundation. But then I think the disciplines need to really think about the ethics of it and what it means to use AI in your specific area.
Yeah.
Do you think that AI is, this is an odd analogy, but do you think it's the new cursive? We're going to be using it for a little while, and then people are going to realize, you know what? It's not really as much of a benefit in what I do, so I'm going to stop using AI. And then there might be a resurgence because they're teaching cursive again now. So,
thank goodness. I think because I did teach that University 101, and every class I would pass out a piece of paper and I would have them write some, analog, write some things down. And it was so difficult for me to read those because I was like, I cannot read your handwriting. Or people would write tiny. And I'd be like, are you serious?
I stumbled across a benefit to them not teaching cursive. And that is that my daughter couldn't read the note that I gave to my wife. And so now we have our own little secret code language.
To answer your question, I think it is going to be woven so deeply into our society and culture that it will become invisible, almost like Google. It's like, or it'll become just like another tool. 20 years ago, if someone had said Google it, we would have been like, what are you talking about? Now it's going to be even more invisible than Google. I think it's just going to be there, and we're not even going to be aware of it a lot.
Well, and I've told this story tons of times, but when I was a senior in high school, I was told you cannot write your senior research paper with electronic resources. You have to go to the card catalog and you have to do it. Well, way to set me up for not being prepared for my career. Because when I don't know something, I Google it. I don't go to the library and go to the stacks and pull out the Encyclopedia
They don't even have stacks anymore.
Right. So
how dare you use a food processor to chop all your vegetables instead of a knife?
Yeah. So they have to learn how to use that tool. I mean, it's the same thing. This is why group work is so important, even though no one likes to do group work. But what do you do when you go to your job and you talk to your colleagues and you get answers from each other?
And you're critical. So I think that's the big thing we're going to have to be more, better at doing, is being critical of things. Like, we just don't accept it. People used to accept things because they were written, because they were published, right? And you're like, oh, well, it's written, so it's truth. And you're like, well, now you won't even know if art is true. You won't even know if a video is true. Right now you can kind of tell, but it's going to get to the point where you're going to be like, is that real?
Yeah.
And so I think it's us having a real critical conversation around all of the content that is being thrown at us.
And I think that's one of the things that in conversations I've had throughout the year that I've noticed with people is that the excitement to kind of break away of some of these old school traditions of education, the 5-paragraph essay and the multiple choice test and, these things, and get more creative with assignment design and course design and the critical thinking and building out these ideas and ways for students to apply knowledge that is more relatable and not just, well, this is how we've always done it.
And multimodal.
Yes.
And I think multimodal is the world we live in. We're sitting here in a podcast room. I mean, podcast is a big way that people communicate now. But even through storytelling on TikTok or, social media, everybody's doing it. And students want to be creators.
Yeah.
They don't want to passively learn anymore. They want to be active learners. And that's becoming more and more apparent as the, generations come into higher education.
And it's interesting you say that because I teach the UNIV 101 course, and it's for, our incoming freshmen, and they have these different perspectives: social scientist, natural scientist, artist, humanist. And inevitably, every year when I ask like which perspective they tend to lean towards, the one that gets the lowest is usually the artist perspective. And I ask, well, how many people think you're creative? And it's always, a handful of hands that go up. It's not a majority ever. But then when I asked them, I took kind of a straw poll at the end of the year, like, what were your favorite activities that we did throughout the year? What would you like me to keep? What would you like me to get rid of? And the ones that overwhelmingly got the most votes to keep were the ones where they got to be creative.
Oh, yeah.
The ones where they got to do something more fun and engaging. And it's interesting that there's that dichotomy where they're like, I don't think I'm creative, but I like to do creative things.
Right.
And so that's where, like you said, that multimodal approach, the things where what they don't necessarily see is their creativity coming out in different ways.
It's kind of design thinking.
Right.
I mean, I remember doing this back in architecture school back in the 80s. And we didn't call it that, but we were doing design thinking. And I think every discipline has a form of design thinking because you're always coming up with new ideas. You're always evolving, and new generations are bringing in new knowledge while they're learning the former knowledge from their elders or from their faculty.
Yeah.
And think how excited kids are when they have applied their learning and they run in to show mom or dad this new thing that they learned, and giving them options like, this student loves PowerPoint. This student is garbage at PowerPoint, but will knock out an amazing TikTok about whatever.
Yeah.
The student hates social media. They're going to write a great paper, and then having that skill set, whichever one of those things you're really good at, to take into your field is just allowing students to shine. It's more rewarding as an instructor to see that.
It's like how creative you can get with this too. Last year, my son's ag class, he and two of his friends ripped out a tree. I mean, just that's what they did for like 3 weeks. They were trying to get this tree out of the ag yard. They looked up the best way to like dig around the roots and and I mean, they had to do research, and then they applied the research to doing it. And I went there for track practice, and he's like, "Dad, that's the tree that I ripped up over there." I was like, I still can't believe you did that. Yeah. But
yeah, that's cool. And they were invested in it, right?
Right.
It was something that was relevant to them, and that they were interested in, and they wanted to go for it and did it. And I think we have this opportunity to do more of that in education now.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's like goes back to my research about digital storytelling. And Matt, I love to hear your stories, especially about your kids. And all of us know intrinsically how to do storytelling because that's how we learned. When we were young, we were told stories by our parents and our grandparents. It's really how we communicate our own knowledge, right? And so by really helping students to think through or maybe even faculty to think through assessments that give a story, that's that they're allowed to maybe record themselves doing something. Maybe if your son had done little snippets of, okay, we're going to try this, and then it turned that in and being like, oh, but that failed. And so we tried this. And then it could have been seen through the whole process. And we have these incredible, objects in our hands now that can record so many things.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember when my son, who is now 30, but when he was in junior high, he was absent for something, and the teacher said, well, I need to know that he knows this one, physics. And I said, well, let's just record you, and explain it to me. Yeah. And so he set up the whole experiment. He had a little car that ran down a pathway, and he went through all the theories and everything. And we turned that in, and their teacher was like, that was amazing. I know that he knows that. Yeah. And in this era of generative AI, we need to think about creative, multimodal ways for students to demonstrate their learning. It can be through storytelling. Yeah. It can be through demonstration, capturing it, also being able to capture it in a small amount of time, instead of like a long. I don't know if you've watched some TikToks that are just that are just like, did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. That are like really drawn out, and you're like, okay, I'm going to stick a needle in my eye. This person is just going on too long with the storytelling. They're not getting to
when you
the
try
point.
to look up a recipe online and they tell their whole life story, and I'm like, just get me to the recipe.
Yeah. Yes.
So and all the ads slow down the site, and you can't scroll down.
So it's that art of storytelling that I think brings us actually back to that place of being human within AI. And that's what kind of excites me about humans using AI to communicate with each other, but we still have that human interaction. Yeah. So I know you guys were talking about what we've been doing for this year, and Matt, I would love for you to kind of talk about what you do with your ID mentoring program, because we're writing a chapter on that right now. Okay. But it's one of the things that's kind of evolved this past year, and it's a real human to human touch. So we're kind of getting away from AI and back into what our team is doing to work with each other on the human level.
Yeah, sure. So for context for the listeners, we had this need to onboard instructional designers into our culture and try to, not just the actual work of doing instructional design, but just like how we operate as a unit. And going back to my experience as a high school teacher, I had a really bad instructional coach relationship. And so what we wanted to get away from is, the uneasiness that you can have with a supervisor employee relationship, that maybe you are afraid to ask a question because they'll be like, why did we hire this person if he doesn't even know this? So we wanted to have like a low stakes mentorship program. So we have 2 senior instructional designers who built this out, and they basically meet regularly with our new instructional designers. And if they want to expand it, anyone can go to them and ask them for help, ideas. I learned that they have like an informal, Adam, you were telling me about this.
You have a
portfolio support group. And it's just something that kind of emerged organically, because it's not always easy to showcase our work. And yeah, it's just a great way for these two instructional designers to take people under their wings and kind of help them with questions they may have and that sort of thing. And it's kind of tied into a summer camp series that we do too, where we all come together to tackle some special projects that have been like on the back burner all year round. We try to get to those in the summer, and then tie that back to our culture, that we have regular meetings we call campfire chats, where we just get together and play games. And we did some Olympic themed ones that summer, and we've this summer was Survivor themed. And so we just like to recreate those kind of organic water cooler type things that happened when we all were in office. And now we're primarily remote, so we're trying to keep that alive. So they all kind of interweave together, the mentorship program, the informal meetings. And I was always worried, again, everything that was like a traumatizing event for me as a high school teacher, where I had to wear a cape and stuff like that. That I was like, I hope like no one, I never wanted anyone to feel pressured that we were doing something silly and elementary. And this has been pretty well received. And so we're really proud of it. So,
yeah.
As I was reading the chapter, because I'm kind of bookending it at the beginning and the end, and I'm reading through it, I'm like, Adam Davi is all over this campfire thing. I can see his gaming stuff coming through.
I did my summer camp counselor persona has found new life in my career here.
Yeah, we're doing our holiday themed one tomorrow, so we're excited for that.
I love that your team brings play into action.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important for us, because sometimes we get so stressed, especially around like what you were saying. It's the end of the holidays. Your faculty are coming in and they're
Maycember.
It's just like you have so many stresses, and I know I have so many stresses, and to be able to just kind of kick back and play and make that human connection, even though we're remote, to be able to do that. And I think, our generation has kind of had to adapt to this. Yeah. You guys are a different generation than me, but, I'll throw myself in there because of COVID. And we kind of had to adapt on how we're going to do this. This generation that's coming up, they're there. They get it. And so we almost have to like ease back and say, okay, now how can you connect physically? Yeah. How can you connect, in other ways besides virtually?
Yeah.
It's interesting because along those lines, when I was a kid, it was, get him out of his room where the video games are.
Oh, yeah.
But now the video games are if not more social than hanging out together. That my son's on a group chat with 5 people playing games together, and they are interacting, they are connecting. And so it's,
When we moved to Europe, I was really concerned because their kids were 10 and 12. And I was like, how are they going to stay connected? And it was through gaming. That they stayed connected with all of their friends in Tucson. Yeah. And I was kind of amazed that I would be going in and they were all playing together and talking with each other.
Yeah.
And of course, this was, over 15 years ago. So I think we really see a generation of students who know how to do that better than I do.
And it's generation.
It's building in those experiences that we talk about. You were talking about it in terms of our team and how we create culture here, especially with so many folks, being remote and how we do that in a virtual space. And it's, we can take those same lessons into our design work with faculty. And how are we building community, and how are we, building that space in your virtual classroom as well. And even though it's asynchronous, how are we creating spaces where they can tell their story and build connections to things beyond just the course content, right? Like build human connections, right? Like these folks have, this person also has children that they're, that they're trying to raise while taking this course. And so do I. And like, how can we tell these stories together and work together and find, these common bonds to kind of build up, what we're doing in the content.
Yeah. Well, and we really learn a lot about it. We have some cutthroat people on our team that really want that
game players, not employees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, $15 Dairy Queen gift certificate is fought over.
Yeah.
Game on.
Yeah.
Very competitive. Very.
So, and this I think is a great place to kind of to wrap up and look ahead towards the next year, 2026, which I can't even believe we're saying. And I actually just recently went the Science Center here on campus celebrated its 50th anniversary, and I worked there when I was an undergrad student here, and I realized that was 25 years ago. And yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like,
been going through a lot of that lately.
Things are moving way too fast, and now we're getting into 2026. And so what do you see, or what do you want to see in this next year within this realm of online learning?
Well, we're kind of diving into virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality.
Okay.
And I think, that's out there for some people.
Yeah.
But I think to kind of tread in those environments and look to see how can we evolve? How can we go to where the puck is going instead of just being where the puck is right now? Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about what's going on there. And if U of A is doing a lot. So there's a website, and I wish I knew what the name of it was. But if you just go to
we'll find it and put it in the notes.
Okay, you can put that in the notes. There's a lot of experimentation that's going on in these virtual realities, and I think that's going to be the next big step. And I actually think AI is going to help us get there, and immersive environments. So there's that on the digital side, and then on the physical side, I'm always into experiential learning.
Yeah.
And giving our students real life experiences of, what it's going to be when they step off a campus into their first job. And so I think if we can do that, the virtual side and then the real side, and giving students opportunities. Like we have opportunities for our students in the digital maker spaces. We hire a lot of student workers. Love for them to be in studios. Love for them to be in environments where they actually learn and then help other students learn. And that is like the true moment when you actually got it.
Yeah.
So those are two things, and they're very different: virtual and physical.
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak to just the instructional design side of what we're doing. So, we put a lot of work and effort into creating ID community in Southern Arizona. It's mostly U of A, but we have some Pima folks in it as well. And then over the last year and a half or so, we've expanded on that to build the digital channel that's open. So we have our regular meetings together that are always pretty cool to go to. And then we have this support line. And we've been talking about exploring doing like a instructional design symposium. So let's bring that community together for real and share out the practices that we're doing so that we can become more connected with what everyone's doing. And kind of don't have to necessarily travel all over the country to conferences to do. And we have so many people doing so many great things right here. So that's something that our instructional design leadership team has been kicking around as an idea in the future.
And that's really cool. And that's, I love that because the ID community is really wonderful. And this podcast has brought us in connection with a lot of wonderful IDs here. Like you said, and around the country as well. So it's pretty cool.
It makes us jealous sometimes when we hear about the toys they have.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder, do we have that in our budget?
Yeah.
We get some jealous looks too sometimes.
Yeah. So, well, thank you both for joining us today and for this year in review. It's always one of our favorite podcasts to record every year because it's fun to kind of look back and then also look ahead for what's next. And you both are always such pleasant company and enjoyable to talk to and talk with.
Well, and thank you. This is a great podcast series, but it's also a great culture that we've created here. at the University of Arizona in UCAT. And this morning we had a burrito bar.
Yeah.
And I wish you could smell me right now. I smell like bacon. I cooked bacon this morning for the breakfast for the burrito bar. And so we need to think we have visual, we have sound. We need to get smell so people can like smell.
Smell-o-vision.
Tread lightly.
But I do appreciate the culture that we have here. And, I think to me, that's the most important part of what we do and who we are is the culture that we've created in UCAT and at the University of Arizona. So thank you.
My pleasure. And thank you to all the listeners as well. Thank you for listening in 2025, and we hope that you continue listening in 2026 and beyond. Hope everyone has a wonderful, restful holiday season, and we will catch you all on the next episode. Thank you very much.
The Futures of Digital Learning podcast is a production of the University of Arizona University Center for Assessment, Teaching, and Technology. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas you'd like to share with our office, go to the Contact Us link on our website, ucatt.arizona.edu.